In July again, India sent its first coal-laden rig, which is about 4,000 tons, to Bangladesh Rampal Thermal Power Station. The 1,320 megawatt power plant is a joint venture between National Thermal Power Corporation (NTPC) and Bangladesh Power Development Board. So this basically is an indication that India is keen to expand its bilateral relationship with its neighbors and countries around the world in this sector. In June this year, the Export-Import Bank of India, Exim Bank, had announced an LOC, line of credit, of $100 million to Sri Lankan government for funding solar energy sector and assure that the country's 70% power requirements are met by renewable energy sources by 2030. In April this year, Ministry of Power released the draft National Electricity Policy (NEP) 2021, and it has already constituted an expert committee, including representatives from central ministries of power, new and renewable energy, NITI Aayog, Central Electricity Authority, and various state governments. And we are hopeful that this policy will incorporate the views of the industry and various stakeholders to have a countrywide policy. There are trends that that have dominated the Indian power sector this year, as many of us are aware, are technology, green energy, transmission, private participation, and policy reforms. Uh, Before I conclude, let me assure you that the Economic Diplomacy Division and the Ministry of External Affairs in general is there to assist the chambers, the manufacturers, the global investors looking for contributing to India's growth story, and of course with specific interest in power sector. And we once again would like to convey our thanks and congratulations to ICC for taking this initiative of positioning Indian energy scenario at a global platform and accelerating sustainability and its viability of the new and renewable energy sector with all the relevant stakeholders. Uh, we wish this expo a grand success, and we are very hopeful that the deliberations are that come out of this expo would be shared with all the relevant stakeholders to take it forward so that it doesn't end here but continues as a thought process, as a way forward for making the energy sector global energy scenario a much better and comprehensive. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Thank you so much, sir. And we are really, very, very honored to have you here and, for your valuable deliberation expertly summarized in a very thoughtful manner. Thank you so much once again. As I said that this event has got fantastic support from the overseas countries as well. So we have with us Mr. Dalmar Hassan, the Principal Program Advisor, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Somalia. Team, please unmute Dalmar so that we can hear from him and what he expects, from this particular platform and how he wants his country to get engaged with the Indian manufacturers. Dalmar, welcome to Global Energy Virtual Expo. Team, please unmute Dalmar.
Hello, I hope everybody can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. Warm welcome to you.
I want to thank the organizers of the Global Energy Expo, as well as the other participants. I'd like to thank the great nation of India for inviting me, and the Indian Chamber of Commerce for inviting me to take part in the meeting. As everybody would know, Somalia has got a lot of things in common with India.
Yeah, Dharma, we can't hear you. Yeah. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yes, my internet might be a bit iffy, so I'll limit my comments to as short as possible. First of all, as a country that is coming out of a period of insurgency and civil strife, one of the most important elements to the economic development of our nation is sustained access to quality energy at a reasonable price. Somalia right now has got a huge advantage. Its potential for generating solar as well as wind energy is one of the highest in the world, and indeed the highest in Africa. We have a huge advantage in that way. What we need is to have the right sort of technology from countries that have gone through our own stage of economic development, such as the Republic of India, as well as having the sort of technology transfer that our relationship between our private sector and Indian private sector has already well established. When we look at the economic statistics of Somalia, about India has risen over the past 5 years from being our fifth highest trading partner to our fifth highest trading partner. That has happened without any sustained sort of intervention from the federal government, but rather because our private sector has been dealing with the private sector and the government of India and has found the quality of its products as well as the quality of its business matchmaking as one of the best in the world. Now, as we start establishing the economic basis of our country, the next step that we're looking at is to move away from our dependence on fossil fuels. And the advantage sometimes of starting systems that have previously broken down is that we can take advantage of the lessons and the technologies that have already been used successfully in other countries. To that end, Somalia, in particular our ministry, is focused on building a good relationship with the Indian private sector, as well as the relevant ministries and professional associations, to ensure that our relationship, rebuilding our economy, is focused on taking advantage of the best quality energy generating products that is available out there. To that end, I have shared this information concerning our meeting to the Somali Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and soon they are going to make an official application to the Indian Chamber of Commerce to be able to participate in the next Global Energy Expo as the representative of the Somali private sector. So I would like to thank you for inviting me, representing my country, and I hope we're going to all take advantage of this expo as we continue. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Delmar. Thank you so much. And also, thanks a lot for exploring the possibility of inviting the Somalia Chamber of Commerce for our future engagements. We have been supported by very important, thought leaders and global experts during this summit. So I'll start the plenary session by way of inviting Mr. Shubhendu Biswas, the Global Carbon Council, who will be making a brief PPT presentation during his deliberation. Shubhendu, can we invite you now?
Yeah, hello everybody. Am I audible?
Yes, Shubhendu, you're audible. Team, please on the video.
Yeah, I think if you could share the PPT, which was shared.
Yes. Team, please run the PPT. Meanwhile, you can start your deliberation. They will
yeah, right. So, hello everybody. This is Shubhendu Biswas on behalf of GCC, Global Carbon Council. Thank you for allowing us to present here in this summit. So you must be knowing that GCC is a voluntary program and we run it out of Qatar. So we are now based out of Doha. So GCC is the first Middle East-based voluntary carbon market, regulator, which actually we accredit and we issue credits as akin to that of the UNFCCC ones. We're taking the base documentation as that of UN, building on it. And we are one of the voluntary programs that are based out of Middle East, which also supplies credits to Corsia and to the voluntary markets. Now, we have been hearing a lot about COP26 and the commitment of India to net zero and all that had happened in Article 6.4 and 6.2. So we all understand that climate finance is one of the major requirements with respect to be able to meet renewable energy targets set by corporates, by countries and all. And we from GCC helped enable that by catalyzing this thing by helping in issuing credits. And you must be knowing that in terms of renewable energy, GCC is the only platform at this point in time in the voluntary market which still accepts renewable energy for issuance of carbon credits. Although you got to demonstrate additionality, you have got to demonstrate, we say E plus, S plus, and SDG impacts. Then only you can get the projects registered. But then that window is still open, and we have helped kept that alive for climate finance for the renewable energy sector. So I don't know, is the PPT on? I don't know, I don't see any.
Tim, please run the PPT. He needs a PPT during his presentation.
Or maybe I can share the screen and show.
Yes, Shubhendu, you can also do that. You can share it because we have already made you the host. Yeah.
Okay, right. So can you see this?
We can see it. Yeah.
Yeah. So we call ourselves a GHG greenhouse gas plus program. That is because we not only deal with greenhouse gases, but we also look at other aspects of greenhouse gases. For example, there are projects which are there, which are carbon mitigation projects, but with a lot to do with other areas apart from carbon itself. For example, it contributes a lot to SDG impacts. It contributes a lot to environmental well-being, a lot to social well-being. So we under the program under GCC also help corporates to showcase their contribution to environmental sustainability on social aspects as well as their impacts on SDG goals. So our platform not only helps in delivering credits, which has other impacts, because in order to be able to get a credit out of the GCC platform, you need to demonstrate the projects do not have any other negative impacts on any other environmental or social grounds. So that's why we are a GCC Plus program. The next slide is only a kind of an overview to you, that is, if you want to go reach that 1.5 degree target or a 2 degree centigrade per se, the commitments made by the governments under the NDC scenario only fulfills a small part of the total amount of removals that we're looking at in order to be able to reach a 1.5 degree scenario. So if you're talking of a 32 gigaton of CO2 removal, there is still a huge gap of 29 gigaton in order to be able to reach where we are hoping to do. And with the mention of 1.5 degree at Glasgow, this is very relevant. So this is only a pathway scenario that came out in scenario, September 21, where you can see how much of NDCs contribute to our aim of going to 1.5 degree scenario. Now, if you actually look at what are the NDC pledges that has happened across the world, you will find that 84% of the parties, the most preferred option is going to renewable energy generation. So that's the most preferred pathway of going to reduce carbon emissions, to reduce, go green across the world. And we still continue encouraging renewable energy projects, and we still encourage people to come out with renewable and innovative technologies in our platform to get credits to be able to catalyze this kind of movement. So what happens is we are basically in line with Paris Agreement. That's how we started our journey of GCC. So with an objective of limiting the global temperature to 2 degree or 1.5 degree scenario, which calls for a reduction of around 52 to 58 gigatons of CO2. When it comes to your national level NDCs, the regulations, policies, the market approaches that you have can either be in the form of allowances or it can be in the form of taxes also. Whereas when it comes to organizational level, you have your own ways of going to net zero. In fact, the voluntary market has boomed now. You know that the carbon market is suddenly on the rise and has seen transactions happening, which was not seen in the last 4, 5, 6 years in the past. That is because a lot of corporates, including countries in itself, has pledged to being on net zero. And one of the ways of going net zero is obviously you cannot have a facility running and having no emissions out of it. You got to mitigate, or you have got to counter it with credits that you get out of projects which contribute to net zero. So that is where we come in. Apart from this, area, we also are tied up with sector-based efforts. For example, we are already accredited with CORSIA, the aviation sector, and we know the maritime sector is going to come in from 2023 onwards. So these two sectors are already on the pathway of helping in carbon mitigation. So we basically look at two markets, the compliance market and the voluntary market. So we as GCC are a player in the voluntary market, but we also support compliance market per se when it comes to sector-based efforts, that is CORSIA, which is associated with ICAO, International Civil Aviation Organization. So that's what we said. In the voluntary markets, that is where GCC is. But then we also cater to 1.3% ICAO, International Civil Aviation sector, and we are regulated also by ICAO in terms of delivery of credits. So we are a global voluntary carbon offsetting program based out of the MENA region. We have full approval of CORSIA and conditional approval of ECROA. We are the providers of offsets for carbon neutrality of the World Cup. You know, Qatar is holding the World Cup next year, 2022. So we are the offset providers for Qatar for the World Cup. We have we use the baseline and the methodologies which have already been there under the CDM platform, as well as we make our own methodologies in order to be able to quantify and qualify projects. We have the same kind of additionality rules that was there in terms of UNFCCC, but we have stringent requirements with respect to environmental and social well-being. Apart from only having GHG reductions qualified for your projects, you can get additional labels in the form of E+, S+, and SDG+. I'll go to it a little later. So we have a marketplace for buyers and sellers for carbon credits. In fact, at this point in time, we're looking at something around 30 million tons of CO2 being qualified this year under the issuance. So this is a little late, figure which was there around a month back. So it is now going exponentially high. And we also provide a cost-effective instrument for low carbon economy by helping stakeholders into climate leadership. So we, as I said, are already accredited under CORSIA fully and conditionally approved under ECROA. This is a little framework of how a Global Carbon Council looks like. So we have an apex body in the form of an advisory board, which consists of members from UNFCCC and renowned people from different fields in carbon. We already have a tie-up with the IHS market for carbon registry. We have a steering committee who takes all the decisions with respect to issuance, with respect to registration of projects. We have also approved verifiers. We say verifiers, you must be acquainted with the terms of validators and verifiers when it comes to CDM and UNFCCC. We call everyone verifiers. What you call in validation in CDM, we say project verification. And what you say verification in CDM, we say emission reduction verification. So we have a registration process, which we say as project verification, and we have an issuance process, which we say project emission verification. So this is what is important. That is, we not only issued ACCs which is our terminology for CERs under GCC, but we also help you to demonstrate your contribution to SDG. So if you demonstrate that you affect positively more than three or two of your goals under SDG, you get a silver level. If you can demonstrate that you contribute to more than 5 of the SDG goals, you get a diamond label. And with each label, your market, your market value and your potential buyers would come to you. So you get a better market price for the credits that you generate. Apart from that, we also have a E plus and a S plus label, which is an environmental no harm and a social no harm demonstration. By the way, you should know that for Corsia, in order to be able to sell your credits under the the aviation platform of Corsia, you have to be E plus, S plus, and a minimum of bronze label in order to qualify under Corsia. So this is a brief overview of our registration process. If you are familiar with the one that you have under CDM, it is more or less the same. So if you have a project in renewable sector, any other sector, you first of all, what you do is you figure out a methodology. That is, how would you be able to apply the project? How would you be able to quantify your credits? Then you make something that's called a PSF, a project submission documentation. Once you have the project submission documentation, obviously in between you have the other paraphernalia of opening up an account with GCC, of having your KYC done and all. Then you have to call in a third party, who's called a project verifier, who does the verification of your project and says that whether your project complies with the requirements of GCC and whatever you say in the documentation is correct, and you have an emission reduction in place. Once you have the verification process done, even before that, we start the global stakeholder consultation, like that of CDM, with a 15 days period when your project is up on the way for anyone in the world to comment. And if you are successfully through the whole process, you request a registration with GCC. We, as GCC team, assess your submission. We send it to a steering committee for approval. If the steering committee has no negative remarks, you get registered as a GCC project. Then you get registered on IHS market as well, and your project becomes publicly displayable in terms of a registered project. The moment you go in for registration, you go in for issuance. So you must be knowing that we still allow projects which have started operation post 1st of January 2016 to get registered under GCC and issue retroactive credit, but that window is closing very fast. We will allow till July 2022 for such projects to come and get registered with GCC. So we have a deadline for that. Beyond that, it's only going to be future projects that we are going to take into the GCC fold. So once you have the project registered, you go to the issuance process, you implement the project as you have designed, measure and monitor how much you have reduced in terms of carbon emissions, prepare a monitoring report for your submission, get a third party to verify your claim. If your claim is legitimate, everything is done as per your plan, you monitor all parameters that you have committed to, you send in a request for issuance of credits. The moment it comes to us, we assess your claim, we send it to a steering committee with our opinion whether you should be issued the credits. If it's a positive, you get your ACCs issued and it shows up in your registry under the IHS market. And you also get your additional labels if you have already applied for it. IHS market registry is like a bank account of yours where you have your credits therein. You can directly transact through a click of a button to your buyers. By the way, you need to, GCC also is a part of the Meta registry, which is coming out with IHS market and the global warehouse program of World Bank. Because one of the biggest issue at this point in time, which is being raised by stakeholders, is double counting. That is, your project should not be doubly issuing credits anywhere in the world with any other program and are not included in the national NDC program. So that is where the Meta registry comes in. So we are already a part of the IHS market Meta registry program. So anyone can check whether your project figures anywhere in the world, any other program, and simulations was done for the same period, so that there's no double counting, because that is what is going to give confidence in the market in terms of carbon emissions. So what kind of projects do we entertain. We entertain projects from all fields, from oil and gas, from power sector, from industry segment like cement, fertilizer, iron and steel, from the building sector in terms of energy efficiency, renewable energy, in terms of plantations. If you have agricultural sector is one area that we are now promoting, waste management, waste to energy projects, transport related sectors, projects which help in carbon mitigation, and obviously the other are distributed energy generations and systems. This is only a glimpse of the registry, how it looks like on our portal. If you go to globalcarboncouncil.com, you'll be able to see projects which are there, which are already running. Only what I needed to tell you is that we have projects to as small as maybe 10, 20,000, 30,000 to as big as 6 million also there on a portal. So that's the range of projects that we handle with. You can see it would give you a glimpse of whether the project has applied for E plus, S plus, what are the kind of goals, mitigation goals that they're going to target, what are the labels that they're going to ask for, and whether they're asking for compliance of CORSIA. You can all see that on the web. So coming back to that point, that what are the kind of projects that we still allow? We have two type of projects called A1 and A2. A1 projects are greenfield projects, which are future projects, which you haven't started commissioning at this point in time. You can bring in those projects. They're called A1 projects. A2 projects are the projects which have already started post 1st of January 2016, which you'd like to bring to get carbon credits, but it's still allowed only up to 5th of July 2022. The window is very small. If you have a project already under CDM and you know that the CDM has now transitioned into 6.4, Article 6.4 credits, and no more issuance, no more registration will happen, and only for projects post 2013 would go into NDC. So if you want to deregister your project or move your project from CDM to GCC, you're welcome. They're called B1 or B2 kind of projects. So you can go to the website, you'll find what is B1, B2. I don't want to go into this more detail. You might have a question, do you have auditors with you who does the verification validation? Yes, we have auditors who are already qualified under GCC. There are 4 at this point in time, and fortunately all 4 are based out of India. But then there are another 5 which are in the offering, which we're evaluating. They're going to be from different parts of the world. But at this point in time, there are 4 already from India who are working as validators, verifiers for GCC. So where is the demand coming from for GCC credits? Our demand coming from also the fact that this is a little piece of knowledge that we always share, that S&P Global is one whom we tie up with in terms of carbon intelligence, market intelligence. CORSIA credits at this point in time are somewhere moving around $6 to $7 per ton of CO2, and we are CORSIA compliant. So we have a demand of around 2.5 billion from CORSIA. We have a neutrality demand for the carbon welcome. Neutrality, we have obviously the corporate demand for voluntary credits, which is driving the market, which is the biggest of the lot. So all kind of GHG gases, types A1, A2, B1, B2, all sectoral scopes under CDM covered under the program. We allow only 10 years of rating period. And you must have seen in the new CDM methodology for the Article 6.4, it's 5 into 2, 10 years. So that's going to be the norm. That going forward, the 10 years rating period is what is allowed. We have a third-party registry, which I just market for issuance and all. We allow all 248 methodologies from CDM, and we have a validation verification in terms of 14064 compliance. So it's an international independent organization of ours. Our transparency is in terms of the local and global stakeholder consultations. And we have standards for that, which is there on the web for you to see how to be able to do that. And we are CORSIA compliant, so you can go in for CORSIA market with us. So this is another just an overview of where we are now heading to. At this point in time, this is how the whole program is, where you have a project, you come to our program, we issue SECs, it goes to the IHS market, and you buy it, sell it up to the traders. We are now allowing also a migration to Meta registry, and we are also tying up with exchanges worldwide. So you can trade your SECs across exchanges worldwide. We would not be able to disclose at this point the name of the markets that we're tying up with, but it is going to come within the next 2-3 months. We are also allowing individual buyers to come on board, because there's a lot of HNIs and buyers worldwide who would also like to buy credits to go neutral, either for their business or their own, and they are also buying. So this is the expansion of our GCC in the next 2-3 months that we're looking at. So we have also now, you must have seen if you're following us on LinkedIn, that we have now had an expression of interest in October calling for a buyer who would be wanting to hive off all the credits that come to GCC. But it is up to you as a seller to decide whether you want to go with that buyer or you want to go with someone else. But the first thing that anyone asks is, okay, if you come to GCC, who's going to buy my credits? So we already have that kind of an arrangement now on the web, that there is a buyer who's ready to buy all your credits that you bring to GCC, provided you are happy with the price that he's paying and you have a contract in place. We are not a party to that because we are a regulatory body. We do not go and buy and sell, but we are only facilitating the confidence in the market that there are buyers there sitting for your credits. So that is all. Thank you for giving us the opportunity. I know it was a small time slot, but then I thought of sharing a little detail on GCC.
Thank you so much, Shivani, for making a presentation in such an informative way. It was very, very useful. I'm sure this program is being viewed over YouTube and Facebook as well. Thank you so much once again. May I now invite Mr. Piyush Chaju, the co-founder and CEO of Onergy. And Piyush has been recognized among the 100 most powerful leaders in the solar industry. Piyush, over to you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, ICC, for giving me the opportunity to talk more about the rural energy access enterprise space. And I think particularly it's very befitting, especially when we're talking about a global context. I'm sure a lot of you have been following. We are talking about one world, one grid. There are so many opportunities of providing decentralized energy solutions, especially for the developing world. And that's where I think it can have a strong triple bottom line impact. And that's what makes it very exciting. Because particularly when we discuss about renewable energy solutions, definitely we talk about large scale projects for be it with solar, wind, hydro projects. But I think significantly more important is that the impact that it has on rural lives, because that's where you can not only achieve the objectives of clean energy generation, of environment, but you can have a significant impact on the lives of people. We are really talking about how clean energy solutions can double farmers' income, for example, or can really take people out of poverty. And that's what we've been doing over the last 10 years. And I would really like to share a little bit more about our story and how we've got here, and in particularly what we should be doing as an industry to take rural energy access forward. So first and foremost, what I would really like to share is that we really need to challenge ourselves, really need to think big and have a bold vision for rural energy access. It's no longer just about promoting small standalone systems, be it solar lights or individual small projects on a CSR basis, but we are really talking about solutions that make economic sense even for the poor to afford it. It's no longer the case that we can say that, okay, renewable energy is expensive and poor don't have the capacity to pay, so how do we promote it in a financially sustainable way? But the way to scale is only if we have a right kind of business models, financing models, and can really make it even for people living in extreme poverty. So that's what I would like to say, because the needs, the aspirations of people have been significantly evolving. People are no longer wanting to just put so much hard labor, manual work. People are wanting to see how they can have a much more comfortable life like we sitting in cities have, even in the rural areas. And why should we deprive them of anything? And although we talk about achieving 100% rural electrification in India, but still the fact of the matter is still there are so many people, so many households that are living in, I would say, energy poverty. Either even if the grid is there, especially there are a lot of people that do not have access to reliable energy, or more importantly, even if we are extending the grid lines to the villages, but still, is it practically viable to extend all grid lines to the fields? Absolutely not. And the government also recognizes it, for which they've launched a very ambitious KUSUM program, which talks about large-scale electrification of solar pumps. Because even right now, we have more than 10 million diesel pumps running just for irrigation purpose. There is diesel is such a big consumption factor for agriculture, because we still have farm equipments, tractors, power tillers, other farm machinery that are running on petrol or diesel. But is it possible that we can change that to a renewable source? So that's what we have to really challenge ourselves with, thinking that how we can develop new innovative technologies to really look at solving problems and challenges that are faced by the rural population. And that's what I'll just give some examples. And one of the reasons what I sought when I said about having much more bold ideas and a new vision on how to promote energy access, we need to go beyond just by thinking, okay, we just say why don't we think that we have to look at decarbonizing the entire agri-value chain? That is something that we should challenge about. Can we look at pre-harvest, during harvest, post-harvest, cold storage? Let's look at the entire agri-value chain. Does renewable energy play a part towards promoting this? There is so much buzz about electric vehicles. Can we have EV tractors powered by solar? Can we have other farm machinery powered by solar? Can we have decentralized solutions such as micro cold storage solutions, other micro machinery, decentralized agro-processing machines powered by renewable energy, powered by solar? And that's what we are trying out to do. We started off with promoting solar irrigation pumps. Till now, we've promoted more than 4,000 solar pumps across in multiple states in India. And now we are out to look at what are the other innovative solutions. We've started to promote micro cold storage solutions, electric powered farm machinery equipments, which are being powered by the universal pump controllers. So that's what the technology innovation that I was talking about. So just using solar panels, which were used for powering irrigation pumps, the solar panels with the energy generated, that is also used for powering other farm equipments. So that is what is one of the innovations in promoting these universal controllers, which can power multiple devices. Along with that, it's also important that it's no longer that smart solutions are just restricted for industries or for the urban centers. We can also make, at a very low cost, we can make these solutions smart. That's how we are deploying sensor-based drip irrigation systems. So it not only saves more water, but it also saves more energy, because we fitted it with moisture level sensors, which gets activated based on certain parameters that we've set. We can check with weather monitoring, with low-cost weather monitoring devices, and along with that, we can promote solutions. So we're making these solutions along with remote monitoring. We also have remote diagnostics. So sitting over here in my office, I can check thousands of sites where we've deployed solar pumps. So these smart solutions does not mean that it requires a significantly more cost on the consumer, but having low-cost solutions which can have a significant impact on farmers' lives. Simple things with a mobile phone, so many people are there on the mobile. Anybody can just switch on or switch off their system and access what is the energy generated, what is the water coming out from these pumps. And these are at a very low cost, wherein these benefits can be provided to the farmer. Along with technology innovation, it's very important that we look at different business models, different financing models, especially when it comes to the poor. And particularly promoting what we've learned is that it's very important to have a much more integrated model, such as a group model. We've seen that successfully working with microfinance institutions. When you form a group of people, then definitely their ability to pay, their bankability significantly increases, and they are able to share an asset. So that's how we've been promoting a lot of these solar solutions on group model, especially in rural areas. We've got a local entrepreneur to operate it. So there's one person who's owning the asset, and with that we facilitate financing for that person, and then the person is paying on a per use basis. So for ultimately for the final end user, it is just a pay as you go system or a water as a service model which is being promoted. So just like when we talk about SaaS, software as a service, same, can we promote energy as a service, water as a service? And those are things that we have to look in on a business model point of view. When it comes to looking at financing models, I think one of the key challenges that we faced especially when we started to promote especially irrigation solutions, because from the banker's point of view, they thought that on one hand, I have farmers who are unbankable, who do not have the ability to pay. And on the other hand, I have a technology which is extremely risky. So how do I give loans for a risky technology to an unbankable person? And that's when we started off with, we created a blended finance tool, setting up first loss default guarantees. With the first loss default guarantees, we started with some partnership with some of the nationalized banks, we started to enable financing to farmers for the solar irrigation pumps. Along with that, with the success that they had with great repayment rates, then we were able to further leverage on the first loss default guarantee. And right now we are being able to leverage it 10x. So with that, models like software energy as a service model, like how we are being able to use blended finance tools, being able to leverage that to enable more lending to the poor, to the farmers, and the likes is what is really needed when we look at promoting business models, promoting rural energy access. So there are some extremely important impacts that we've seen. We've seen doubling of farmers' income. We've seen significant change in their livelihoods. We've seen significant employment generation, a better use of energy, better use in which they're being able to preserve their natural resources, not just reducing carbon footprint by not using diesel, but also being able to really significantly reduce the natural resources by reducing the water usage, by combining it with drip and sprinkler systems. Along with that, now we've been looking at powering various other devices which are being used. Apart from solar irrigation and solutions that are for agriculture, such as micro cold storage, what we've been looking to do is also promote many of these microgrid systems, wherein those are village level electrification systems. We've worked with large organizations, be it with WWF or TERI, wherein we've looked to identify different villages that are off the grid, or different hamlets, and set up these microgrid systems, and then have an entrepreneur that is operating the systems and also powering the village hearts which are there, the shops, the small shops are there, or the small machines that go about. So it's such a transformative effect when you're bringing energy to one area, which just goes beyond just simple lighting, and the kind of livelihoods that it can create, and it can, the amount of impact that it can have on people's income is tremendous. And all these is not just on a philanthropic basis or a CSR basis, but it's really driven by a core business model wherein we are taking this to scale, wherein we are building a market, wherein people are having the ability to pay because they're actually seeing financial economic benefit by using these energy solutions. So that is the kind of a shift that we want to bring, because when we started off about 10 years back, we had such a big trust deficit amongst people. There was one group of people who did not know about solar, and then there was another group of people who had a terrible experience because products had gone over there and it ultimately failed to work because of substandard products, or there is no service support. So having the ability to get the trust of people by having a strong after-sales service network, by having a strong last-mile distribution network is so critical when we look about promoting these things. So I would really urge the audience to think about these things and really take this as a challenge in which we can really take the rural energy access space to greater heights, and as the success that we've seen in India, and I hope we can also replicate this in many other developing countries as well. So that's it from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Piyush. we have a question for you, which I think we will mail you, and if you kindly can respond to that, we will accordingly pass on the information. The question is, please share about international marketing of solar renewable sector. So we will do respond to, yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you for being with us. We next invite Ms. Nimisha Verma, co-founder and co-chair of Aloe Esl, a global entrepreneur. Welcome, Nimisha.
Hi, thank you so much. Am I audible? Just can anyone confirm? Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Hi, this is Nimisha Verma, co-founder and co-chair at Aloe Esl, world's first aloe vera battery making company. First of all, a heartfelt gratitude for giving me the opportunity to be a part of the Global Energy Expo as a panelist. Talking about me, I have an experience of 5+ years of working with various national and international startups. My interest lies in design thinking, research, marketing, and networking. My presence in various entrepreneurial fields, including training and mentoring at women-focused events organized by US Embassy and ACIR. I have been in business development manager at Big Street Mart, India, founder at Door and Secret Eye, India, as well as national head at SNCC Netherlands, describes my vivid interest. My social interest and passion is demonstrated through my active participation in day-to-day activities of 2 NGOs, that is FDCH and Vera, which are focused on imparting free and economical education to rural India. I have been an active figure in the field of entrepreneurship and has been recognized for my work through awards like Iconic Women Entrepreneur Award, Women Achievers, etc. I have also been an active volunteer and honorary committee member at Della Leaders Club, CIMSME, NEN, etc. And I'm actively working in the field of training women and aspiring entrepreneurs through various platforms and organizations. This was all about me. Now, giving a brief intro of Aloe Esl. So Aloe Esl is a globally recognized clean tech company working towards the goal of achieving sustainability by introducing an alternative source of renewable energy through its product Aloe Esl, that is the aloe vera battery. Aloe Esl is proud to be a company promoting eco-friendly practices. It is striving to protect and sustain our environment is a given challenge at every stage of development. But we aim to solve hazardous and complex problems using best-in-class design principles to create a connection between nature and technology. Our green vision goes beyond delivering environmentally sustainable products. We are also contributing towards the new age India by decreasing carbon footprints, e-waste, and pollution through the innovation in the field of renewable and clean energy. Talking about today's world where energy consumption and demand is increasing rapidly, which has been affecting the cost as well as quality and is hampering the mankind and environment, there exists a clear need of eco-friendly or sustainable alternatives for all. With respect to increasing demand for EVs, batteries, appliances, etc., the demand for batteries is subject to rise, where it harms the environment, causing pollution, landfills, diseases, etc. Thus, a clear need of the battery market with respect to a clean energy storage exists. Therefore, something we stress on is batteries, because no matter whoever the person is or whatever his profession is, he or she uses batteries in some or the other form. But when we talk about batteries, especially I talk about batteries, something that instantly comes to my mind is devastated land with landfills and pollution. I hope something similar comes to your mind too. Like when we talk about batteries, it's also like hazards, landfills, e-waste, pollution, or diseases. And this is not all, there are a lot many. Therefore, we at Aloe Esl created the world's first 100% eco-friendly and non-hazardous 1.5 volt double size batteries using aloe vera. These aloe vera batteries are an alternative to the deadly hazardous dry cell batteries we have been using since ages in our remote controls, clocks, toys, flashlights, etc. And the best part is that these batteries are available at 10% lesser cost and with 1.5 times more durability. This was all in favor of the environment. I mean, you must be wondering, what about the customers who will be actually paying us a check or who will be actually buying it? So we offer 4 USPs that are defined as: first, money saved, because these batteries are 10% economical. Second, time increased, provides 1.5 times longer durability, as well as no pain, and gives you the primo experience of using the world's first aloe vera battery. These batteries have been demonstrated at various platforms, including Schneider Electric in Barcelona, India's biggest media network, Doordarshan, and has also earned various accolades, like it was declared as the best bold idea of the world 2019 and has been awarded with the National Startup Award 2020 and many more. It has also been covered on 700 plus media networks, including CNBC, Times of India, etc. 1,200 plus units have been tested by various early users, and we aim to expand it soon. Every year, it's like 5.8 billion units of these batteries are consumed in India, whereas this number rises to 89 billion units being consumed globally, where the major portion is utilized in domestic purposes. Looking at the high growing global market of 139.36 billion, Aloe Esl is sure to be a good fit, and it's like to progress rapidly. It's like high oil and coal cost, which is needed for and a need for eco-friendly alternatives, diversification of energy supply, as well as socially conscious observers have opened new doors for the clean tech producers. Then, while working with aloe vera batteries, we also noticed that Aloe Esl can be an alternative for the to be used hazardous batteries, like the batteries which we are about to use. But what about the dead batteries which have been waiting for us in the landfill?
I'm sorry to interrupt, Nimisha here. Maybe we have to just finish up because we have our other panelists. So if you kindly can shorten. Thank you so much.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much. So it's like or about to land into dustbins. Thus, to support battery collection and recycling, Aloe Esl is bringing batteries on blockchain with an intent to reduce e-waste. So we are creating a blockchain-enabled battery collection and recycling mechanism where the batteries are collected with the help of stakeholders. So it's a transparent system with different retailers, stockists, wholesalers, etc., acting as different nodes of blockchain, where the main task will be selling and collecting 80% of the sold batteries back. Now, coming straight away to the climate action, our primary focus is to minimize the climate impact. Thus, we aim to reduce the import pressure, landfills, pollution, as well as carbon footprints and e-waste. So Aloe Esl is eyeing strategic alliances with the government to monitor and connect e-waste stakeholders and enthusiasts to fulfill our dream of reduction of 80% e-waste by 2035. Alliances and partnerships with battery making companies to support clean energy technology and battery collection is our upcoming milestone. We also promote the imbibing of clean energy methodologies in product development and recycling, where Aloe Esl is looking for support from each and everyone, because together we can fight against this climate change and make this world a better place to live in. Here, Aloe Esl urges you all to use green batteries and recycle your old used batteries. I conclude with an appeal to each and everyone that next time when your battery is dead, don't throw it in the dustbin. Send it to us and we'll appreciate your support towards clean energy. Thank you so much. Over to you, Sushmita.
Thank you so much, Nimisha. I have the honor of inviting Ms. Dana Klein, Global Director, Claro Enterprise Solution for your deliberation. Welcome, Dana, if we can have you here. Team, please unmute, Dana.
Okay, I'm trying to share the screen here. Okay, let me share the screen. Okay, can you see that?
Yes, we can see it. Thank you.
Okay. Well, first, thank you for having me here. It's certainly a pleasure, and I feel like I'm in the company of geniuses and giants, and so it's quite an honor. So with that, I'll jump right into it. As mentioned, I'm Dana Klein. I'm the Global Account Director for Claro Enterprise Solutions. We're a global IT, IoT, telco company. as well as the Honorary Consul from Republic of North Macedonia. I'm also a huge supporter of Earth Energy EV. I see that they're here, so they're awesome, and it's been a pleasure working with them. I'm here to speak on the betterment and effective use of the new energies and technologies, but I'm here more to speak on sort of a global viewpoint of how to use new technologies more to our advantage and less to our detriment. You know, there's things that are sort of going off the beaten path and are causing grave concern around the world, but we have some ways to mitigate that. So that's what I'm here to speak about. So as you can see, and as you know, because you're involved, there is so much going on with development and money flowing in and flowing out. But yet at the end of it, we are not, you know, the big question is, are we actually more efficient? Do we have more money? Do we have better budgets? Are we doing better things? Because the big question is, when emergencies come up and disasters strike, like a pandemic or an earthquake or a flood, we're still scrambling. And, you know, we have better systems, but we still are struggling. And so the big question is, are we really more sustainable? And we have issues that we've had for quite a long time. Even these same issues we've had for 20 or 30 years. We've had slow procurement processes, legacy systems, legacy tech. We have integration problems. We have labor issues. And in some cases, we have a lot more issues because issues create more issues. And in some cases, new tech creates more issues with integration, security, layers upon layers of connectivity, et cetera. So yes, it's frustrating and we need help. And at the middle of all of it is data. And this is, you know, we collect data, we mine it, we analyze it, we've shared it, we've packaged it, we've distributed it, we've sold it. Everything you can imagine has been done with data. And the big question is, does that lead to even more issues? You know, data is a huge animal, and it's got facts, figures, numbers, letters. It also moves at the speed of light. It changes us, tests us, influences us, manipulates us, and predicts us. It's changed the way we do things, the way we adapt to new changes, adapt to new ideas, and the way we feel about them. So how can we use all of this to our advantage and the betterment of our lives, community, and the world? Well, I'd like to start actually by talking about smart city and smart community, because all of this ties in. You know, we've got the energies, we've got transportation, we've got all these wonderful sectors, and they all sort of converge onto smart city. And I'd like to look at smart city versus smart community. So on the one hand, we have questions that constantly need answering, and they're all about how do we actually get something done. And these questions, they never really change. They're the same questions, again, that we've had for a while. And yet we're just seem, you know, we constantly need direction. So when we look onto smart community, it's all about, you know, who we get these things done with. And at the top of the list is one of the best resources. It's free, it's usable, accessible, and adaptable, and that's our stakeholders. Who are our stakeholders? They're everyone. They're the visitors, they're the consumers, they're the residents and end users, all who can reject, object, participate, and adopt new technologies and create more demand. Smart cities need to know they need to move quickly. They don't always want to, for the same reasons we mentioned earlier. And so we need another element that can help us. And a smart community is one that engages the stakeholders for more of a fourth or fifth dimension look at the technology, but more importantly on the data and how it flows. There are always going to be hurdles and questions, but the answers for controlled, safe, and efficient growth is a decision that should include all stakeholders, have and have-nots, and thought leaderships. Basically bringing the power, and pardon the pun, but figuratively and literally to the people. And so when we look at our stakeholders and we look at the 2020s, I mean, who exactly are these people? And our world is made up of such diverse audiences and target markets. We have different monies, different technologies, and now we have even different universes with meta universes. And there is no end in sight, evolving every day. We are connected in different ways to each other, to our community, to our government, to our universe, and to ourselves. How we handle and absorb and relate is determined by our relationship or non-relationship with technology, and data is actually the catalyst for all of that. And now we know what a global village looks like. We need to balance out what we need, want, and desire with what we definitely don't want. It's a balancing act, and we need to get it right, and we need to get it right now, because technology and new energies are developing and learning faster every day, and we are failing to keep up with the data on the data to accurately monitor successes, the benefits, challenges, and risks, as is evidenced by extreme public opinion, security failures, financial losses, technical glitches, among other things. And sometimes the more new tech we have, the more new issues we have that we never even thought about. What will happen if this continues? How much structural violence can we absorb? One of today's great authors and historians, Yuval Harari, talks frequently about people hacking and prophesizes that our generation is the last of its kind. We still have our own bodies, have our own thoughts, are not always connected, and remain organic, but that will change very quickly. We already are being manipulated. We're being told what to buy, watch, think, feel, eat, and more. AI is learning how we do things and how we make decisions, and it can further predict and plan how we will move forward with targeted information. He also suggests that whoever has centralized data will have power, and we can easily become a global digital dictatorship. Though there will be a big divide between the have and the have-nots, developing countries like North Macedonia are learning from others' mistakes, and savvy ones could find their own niche if they plan out a smarter community. Corporations can also work new models. Where I work at Claro Enterprise Solutions, a $69 billion global telecom, IT, and IoT company, we connect you, integrate you, work with you, but never collect, store, package, or sell data. Finally, Harari points out that one of our battles is consciousness versus intelligence, and this is where we currently have the upper hand. An example he uses is the autonomous vehicle driving. If a child runs into the street and the vehicle has to make a choice, they have three choices. They can, 1, hit the child, 2, stop and cause an accident that could cause damage or kill its owner, who is also the passenger, or could hit something else and do the same kind of damage. What choice would it make? These are tough decisions for anyone. Still, humans are the only animals that have a consciousness, and it's our consciousness coupled with our intelligence that has allowed us to dominate the world. Will we be replaced, annihilated? Will we implode? My solution to this is a public-private relationship whereby we have the public sector, private enterprise, and all private stakeholders at the table. Everyone should be involved, first because you want new ideas and feedback for new technology. Second, you want technology to be adopted. And I'm sure we all have had that situation where technology has simply failed, wasn't used for what it was intended, didn't work like it should, maybe the users didn't like it. But so this helps with the creative process as well. And third, the more players at the table, the more we can decentralize the ownership of decisions, technology, and data, as well as the responsibility and risks. This will allow for a healthier evolution, controlled growth, new support for technical developments, and smarter communities that can grow and expand in exciting and beneficial ways. That doesn't mean that we can't still create like we are, like all of you are doing. This just means that we have an element of support behind us that can actually contribute to the acceptance of our ideas, the use of our ideas, and can help actually spread the use and the feedback and the adaptation of the technologies. So Harari suggests we also engage philosophers, educators, thought leadership for a more ethical and conscious view, that we take great pains to decentralize the data to avoid digital dictatorships. So he basically says, use my data to help me, not manipulate me. We should set global rules with well-rounded global input, and we don't leave decisions up to the machines. We change the conversation to one of inclusion and look to our universe and make it better, one person at a time. And I thank you for this time. And I know these are important topics that we're all discussing this morning, and I'm so happy to be a part of it. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Dana, for being with us here. It was such an informative presentation, and I can see from the messages that our viewers are really inquiring about your details. We will do connect them with you over emails. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you.
May I now invite Mr. Miguel Naranjo, the Program Officer, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Miguel, welcome on board.
Thank you. Good morning, afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Excellent. So if I go straight ahead into my intervention, so I was invited to present on the role of technologies, and especially renewable energy technologies, in moving towards our climate targets, and maybe refer a little bit to the outcomes of the recent COP26 in Glasgow. So maybe let me start with the second part first, COP26. So as you know, this was the UN Climate Change Conference, which happened after being suspended last year because of the pandemic. And we went into this conference with big pressure, both from the side of the logistics. It has been probably the most challenging conference that we have organized because of the situation around the pandemic, arranging travels, ensuring the safety and health of participants, and all the complications associated to organizing an event for 50,000 registered participants in the middle of a pandemic was not easy. So there were a lot of challenges from the logistical point, and for which the results of which were very successful. So we have to be very thankful to our hosts, the United Kingdom government, and everybody that helped to make that happen. Now these logistical challenges also added pressure to the negotiations, to the main deliverables of the conference itself, because in addition to having to work on the substantive aspects of the negotiations, delegates came with all these additional concerns and extra work that they had to do to get to Glasgow. So there was a lot of tension and a lot of expectations as well to what could happen at COP26. Now, happy to say that the outcome from this conference was actually very positive from our point of view. On the one hand, you have finally rules for implementation of Article 6 of the Paris Agreement, which is the one that deals with mechanisms, including carbon market mechanisms, which was one of the key key missing points from the, let's say, the rules for implementation of the agreement, of the whole agreement. So it was very satisfactory to see that finally we have rules to move ahead as fast as possible implementing those mechanisms. But that was not all. We also have now a clear reference to 1.5 degrees Celsius of warming as the target to be reached. In previous documents, the Paris Agreement itself, we had aiming for 2 as the limit, aiming for 1.5. In the Glasgow Pact language, 1.5 is the target. So it enhances ambition, which is very good. Then you have review of national governments' commitments to action every year, not every 5. So that also reflects that governments have realized every 5 is too late. We need to be doing this on a continuous basis. So that's really good. And then you also have a mention of nature-based solutions, or the importance of restoring nature as part of the response, which has always been part of the conversations, but was never really formally mentioned in the document. So now the role of nature and ecosystem restoration is very clearly addressed. So these are very important outcomes, in addition to many different announcements that were made on initiatives to support whole sectors, mobilize finance, stop the use of coal and fossil fuels, etc. Many different initiatives and commitments that were announced. In the news, in the press, as is usual, they tend to focus on the negative side. So, for example, they mentioned the fact that coal, the decision on coal was not to phase it out, but to phase it down. So a little bit less ambitious. But overall, the COP delivered on what was expected from it, and I would say even more, which is really important because we are running out of time. So we really needed a good result in Glasgow, and it was achieved. Now, what are the consequences in terms of technology, which I understand is the main topic here, the role of technological solutions in achieving sustainability, including action on climate. I mean, technology is the key to everything. Technology is the tool that we need to mobilize immediately and to develop further immediately if we are going to meet the goals of the Paris Agreement. The Paris Agreement says we need to achieve net zero emissions, so a balance between all of the greenhouse gases that we put in the atmosphere and what is removed from the atmosphere by 2050 at the latest. As far as we know today, we are not going to be able that without technological solutions. We definitely need to transition to renewable energy generation, electrification of transport with or powered with those renewable energy sources. We need to reduce the use of or eliminate completely the use of coal, oil, gas. But even if we do all of that, we will still have emissions. And there will be some sectors that, as far as we can see today, cannot avoid the continuous emission of emissions. Think about production of steel, cement, chemicals. These are processes that require lots of energy or produce a lot of greenhouse gases because of the chemical processes. So it's almost impossible to think now that we're going to avoid that. Aviation, are we going to develop enough sustainable aviation fuel for all of our purposes? Probably not. So the only option that we have is to develop technologies to capture the CO2 directly from the atmosphere or capture at the point of emission, of production. So we do need the support of technology to move us to less emissions, but also to capture those that we are not going to be able to avoid by 2050 or earlier. So definitely technology has a key role to play. This is not to mention technologies like IT, the ones allowing us to talk today. We have been moving a lot of our businesses and a lot of our interactions in society online. This is positive in some cases in the sense of reducing emissions, but in other senses, it's requiring more power, more energy to be generated. It's not allowing everybody to access these conversations equally. So there is a challenge with access that we need to solve, and we need technology to develop further and to be implemented further so that everybody has equal access to these resources. So from Glasgow, I think the key takeaways are if renewable energies, if anyone had a doubt that renewable energies were the future, that those doubts should have been eliminated by now. There's no option. We are moving to renewables. And second, the demand on all of you who are experts on the topic will grow. Sustainability has to be the way we do things. It cannot be just one more target, one more part of the strategy of a company. It has to be the way we do business. It has to be the core of how business is done. If we don't do that, our society is going to collapse. And as the Business Council for Sustainable Development said a long time ago, business cannot succeed in a society that fails. We are currently going towards failure as a global society. So we need to put sustainability as the central piece in any company strategy, and that includes anything related to technology, of course. So good. With that, I think I leave it there. And I thank you for the opportunity, invite you to do as much as you can to align with the Sustainable Development Goals and the climate agreement. It's not only because it's the right thing to do, because it's the right thing for future generations, it's also good for the bottom line, the business bottom line. No working society, no business. So thanks a lot, and back to you, Susmita.
Thank you so much, Miguel. And considering India's commitment towards renewable energy and also major new climate targets, your deliberation was very much timely and was of immense importance. Thank you so much once again for being with us here. As we move on to our last panelist, Mr. Garvit Munjal, who will be making a deliberation on India's electric future. May I now invite one of our foreign guests, the procurement head of Akermas Energy from Nigeria, Mr. Edward Igboke. Team, can we okay, we will connect Edward Igboke shortly over mail, because there was some technical glitch. We cannot operate him as a speaker here. So can we invite Garvit Munjal to speak on India's electric future? Garvit, over to you.
Yeah, hi, thank you so much. So I'll just start by sharing my screen. So I hope I'm audible and the screen is visible.
Yes, you are. Yeah.
Yeah. So first off, thank you for this opportunity to ICC. Earth Energy is a really young and a young startup, and for us to present on this platform is really grateful for that. So I think I will just start off with the first question in mind, that what is Earth Energy EV? And we're basically a tech EV startup based in Mumbai, focused on completely, from scratch, designing, developing, and manufacturing electric mobility solutions. At the moment, it is electric mobility, but the future has a lot in store. So we'd like to call it as green mobility solutions for the future. And yeah, sorry about that. So Earth Energy EV was founded by Mr. Rushi Shengani in 2017. So as I said, we are a young startup. It's only been 5 years in this industry. So the vision when Earth Energy EV initially started was to take transportation towards a more sustainable future by providing green mobility solutions to the world made in India. And we are a little bit patriotic here at Earth Energy. So you'll hear me using this phrase "made in India" a lot throughout the presentation. So with that vision in mind, our mission was very clear. That was to bring practical and cost-effective electric vehicles to the market. Today, if something new is introduced in terms of green mobility solutions, let's take an example of a solar-powered car. So if it is introduced in the market today, the price point at which it is introduced is not something that would promote mass adoption of this technology. So when we looked at that problem, we thought that when we approach EVs, when we start manufacturing EVs, they have to be at a price point so that even a common person in a rural area or in an urban area can afford this. So we started off with our two-wheelers basically. I don't know why that is happening. There's some technical glitch. Okay. Yeah. So basically now our journey, we started off with literally a small 250 square feet garage in Mumbai. And we advanced towards making the first electric cruiser prototype India has ever seen. After which we were part of the Dubai Smart City Accelerator program. Then we moved on towards building our own customizable battery packs, which was a huge step forward to us. And these were provided in various different applications. After this, in the year 2019, 2020, we aligned our vision towards manufacturing and production of electric scooters, because we saw that there was a huge demand of electric scooters in India. And a lot of the population in India uses electric scooters at the moment. And there are a lot of if you go out on the street, there are a lot of the Activas, there are a lot of the TVS. You can see on the street, they're filled with the electric scooters. So we thought that why not transition first towards electric scooters? So, yeah. So that led to the ideology of a 100% localization of our product. So again, made in India. So we started off with a 75% localization, advanced in 2020 towards a 98% localization of our product. After which in 2021, on 26th of January, we launched our first 4 electric prototypes. The first one being the electric scooter, second being an electric commuter, third being an electric cruiser, and the fourth one being an LCV, an electric LCV. So after our launch event, we went on towards the production of our first electric scooter. So we advanced towards setting up our first production plant. So the question now is, where is Earth Energy EV today? So Earth Energy EV today is proud to present its first electric scooter, which is the Glide SX. So we have 2 variants in this. The first one is for people who prefer long range over speed. So it gives you a 150 kilometers range. And the best part about this is it is 98% localized. So it is very easy to service this product. There will be no hassles in case even if the vehicle, there is some problems or the vehicle breakdowns, because we have localized all the parts of the Glide SX. The next is the high-speed variant of the same, which is the Glide SX Plus, the top speed of which is 90 kilometers per hour. We're also into manufacturing of battery packs, and these are customizable battery packs. We have used these in our Glide SX and SX Plus also, and also there's been these have been applied in e-rickshaws, ventilators, go-karts in the past. So talking a bit about technological innovations at Earth Energy EV. So for us, we are a company that focuses on problems first. We find a problem and then we find a solution to that. So the first thing that we thought of when electric vehicles come into mind was a range anxiety. Whenever you sit inside an electric vehicle, you always look at the battery percentage and you're not able to calculate how much the car or the scooter would go for, whether it's 50 kilometers at 20% or 30 kilometers at 20%. So we are proud to present our Accu-Range Technology. This is an AI and it's a power monitoring algorithm developed by our in-house R&D team, and it predicts the accurate range for driving the vehicle. So basically, at the beginning, when you see a battery percentage on your screen on the vehicle, this range prediction algorithm will also tell you how many kilometers you will be able to drive at that percentage of the battery. The next is a power monitoring system. Now, there has been a lot of news where there have been explosions of battery packs, unfortunately. So people have this very negative image about EVs, and especially related to lithium ion battery packs. So what at Earth Energy, we have our own power monitoring system. So this basically gives you a continuous update of the battery's health and the discharge and charge rate. So you basically are connected to your vehicle. You know your vehicle's health at a constant rate. The next is the onboard vehicle diagnostic. So basically, if there's a CAN-based communication system inside a vehicle. So if there is failure of any system inside, an error code will display on the screen in front of you. So the user can immediately understand what's wrong with the scooter rather than panic and call up the servicing center, and which would obviously take a lot of time. So the user himself would know what is wrong with his or her scooter. The next is a mobile application. This is basically to stay more connected with the vehicle. So before you start your scooter, you can actually view the vehicle's health, the battery percentage, the range it's going to go for, and everything about it on your mobile application. Also book services for it. And in fact, the mobile application we have just begun to explore that, and we'll be updating it with more features soon. And last but not the least, the charging station. So network of charging stations is very, very important when it comes to EVs. So we're proud to disclose that we have Bharat EV compliant charging ports with us. And this will be as simple as just scanning your RFID tag on it and just plugging it into your scooter and charging it. So, yeah, and about our upcoming products in the future, we have an electric commuter. As I had mentioned, this prototype was launched on 26 January this year, an electric cruiser and a light commercial vehicle, which is an electric tempo. Now the future of Earth Energy EV, these are like 3 projects which we think of will be in the future. And these are not, I would say, electric vehicles, but I'll call them more eco-friendly vehicles or green vehicles, because the energy harnessing technologies in the future will be so vast that we'll be able to adapt to them with our in-house design, manufacturing, and production capabilities. I'd like to end with this simple picture. So it's basically the future of EV. Now, this picture is actually that of a Bosco Verticale. It's in Milan, Italy. And it actually represents a great harmony between architecture and nature. And that's what I believe the future is. And not only the future of EV, but everything. There has to be a perfect balance between whatever we create and the nature around it. So at Earth Energy EV, we believe we can bring forth this change, a dream of tomorrow. That means a dream where we can coexist in this nature and not cause any harm to it, but in fact, nurture it and help it grow. So we will bring this vision of the future today. So I thank you for your time. And yeah, that's all from me.
Thank you so much, Gavin. As we come to the end of the session, we have with us Edward Igboke, who is the procurement head of Accu-Range Energy in Nigeria. Edward has joined the platform especially for the B2B session. I'm sorry for some technical glitch. We will not be able to run his video, but we can hear Edward. Edward, you have seen, you have visited the ICC Virtual Expo website, and you have seen the profiles of the Indian exhibitors who have been showcasing their products and services in the energy and power sector. So we would like to hear from you what you expect from the Indian companies and how you can get into, business talks with them. Over to you, Edward. Team, please unmute Edward. Team, just check if we can hear Edward. I think there is some technical glitch, so we will take on during the, yeah, we can hear you. Yes. Welcome to ICC virtual platform, Edward.
Okay, hello.
Hi.
Okay. Susmita. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to everybody in different parts of the world. My name is Edward Imbuke, and I'm a procurement officer managing the department in the procurement department of Accu-Range Energy. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. Though the voice is not very clear, we can hear you. So basically, we would like to know your procurement pattern and how you can, I mean, how the Indian companies can get in touch with you for their business prospect in Nigeria.
Okay, I'll start by telling you that a new dawn has set on leadership in parts of Africa, which I hail from Nigeria, the biggest marketplace in Africa. Nigerians are solely filled with strong merchant spirit, tested with strings of hardworking, creativity, intelligence, and courage for harmonious, long-lasting business relationship. An awakening call for business expansion, the greatest support coming from stakeholders never had experienced before in this greatly blessed sub-Saharan region, is the open demonstration of trade, one of the electrified fronts of the world democracy, facilitated by shared information on the internet, pooled in knowledge-based system with resources such as culture, acumen, security, and in all of the most objective is vision to sustain our economies across borders, which fill that special space of the idle mind to contribute towards our community development, submitting obediently to the laws of our country, while peacefully reducing crime. Energy sharpens get it of any economy to selflessly run other national sectors. There's no cause of fear for Nigerian friends, India, who have decided to do business in Nigeria and with Nigerians across the globe. However, there are certain expectations required by manufacturers, which are stated below. Podium development. Yes, establishment is very, very important. In supply chain, where we are, there are different moves. We can actually get a quotation from you, from the manufacturer in India. And after the evaluation, after the PO has been given, we can actually get the item to be supplied to Nigeria. But that's not enough. If we are actually, with the study with what I've observed in our sector and in the country, for us to promote Indian products, you need to come down to develop the podium that will actually raise the voice, record the voices, which I mean that will actually promote the brand, Indian brand in Nigeria. In that aspect, we'll be looking at towards partnership, indigenous partnership with companies, with SMEs, the small, medium enterprises. Your Indian manufacturers can come down and partner with companies. Our country have bountiful these enterprises ready, available for you for your partnership. Then you can also go into government partnership, which if you decided to go straight, you want to be solely involved in business in Nigeria. We have agencies that you can follow in the terms of if you're coming into the energy sector, you have to go through the DPR, go through the PEM, register through portal. So all of these partnership, creating that podium for your products to actually have that voice among products of other countries, competitors like America, Italy, the Germany. In that aspect, when your product, when you have an establishment here, it creates that room for your product to be tested. And when what Nigerians actually believe in is they actually look after tested materials. They go after what they know that has already gotten them. So like the pipes in the oil and gas sector, like the valves, we have the likes of the Cameron, we have the likes of Vera from Italy. So if you have your own establishment, you have like in the oil and
But
gas
we
sector,
understand from you, Edward, that what we can do. We will try to establish contacts with the Indian companies with you over email, because we have this B2B which will run for next 2 days. So we will try to schedule meetings with you separately, one-to-one, maybe through Zoom link, along with our other buyers. Thank you so much all. Thanks a lot for being with us and for sharing your knowledge and vision. And also we thank all the Indian exhibitors. We have 40 Indian exhibitors who have shown their products and services at www.iccvirtualexpo.com. We request you all to kindly visit the website and know more about the products and services offered by them, and so that we can get into further business. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Thank you.